everybody. Welcome to the platform. Rolandon Reyes, Diaz. Rolly, what a big week 2 was, huh?
Super big week here at Platform, ladies and gentlemen, on Friday Night Lights.
Friday Night Lights, Rolly. We're going to recap last week's games. We're going to start with our game of the week, and it was the biggest game in the country, not only the state of Florida, but in the country. Booker T. Washington, number 1 in the country, going up against Miami Central, number 2 in the country. Rolly?
Man, let me tell you something. I think we all underestimated. Let me not say that. We all didn't underestimate because Miguel picked Booker T. Good. Well, I tell you what. I'm gonna tell you what I underestimated. I underestimated that defensive line for Booker T because sitting in that end zone where we were sitting, Carlos, you saw the size difference between Central and Booker T. And the minute that ball was snapped, those little guys were in the backfield all day long.
I think conditioning played a big part in this game. I think in middle of the third quarter, fourth quarter, those big bodies at Central were. That team just doesn't look as hungry as they did last year.
Well, they did very well at the first half. And they hung in there. 2 bad punts put them in great field position, which gave them the lead. But I'm going to tell you right now, again, just watching the highlights, the Booker T defensive line was all over the football field from beginning to end. And that's what that was the difference in the game besides Teron Harris.
Teron Harris, to me, was the difference in this game, 100%. Now I know why Jimbo Fisher jumped on the G6 and flew down here to South Florida to check out his future quarterback in Teron Harris. What an outstanding performance this kid had, Rolly. He was everywhere, in and out. What impressed me the most about Teron Harris, this is a kid who is ultra athletic, coming from the family he's come from. His older brother is a track star at UM. The middle son plays in the NFL, and now we got this kid who's an absolute stud, Rolly. He would turn around, he'd pull it down to run, and he'd stop, look up, look for his receivers, and throw the ball. That's what impressed me the most about this kid.
And I got to give a lot of props to his big brother because the entire family, I'm going to tell you right now, what had the go-ahead touchdown, they ran a bomb first, they ran a play off the spread, and it was an incomplete pass. They ran a quarterback keeper to the left. The following play, they ran the same exact play, and it was a touchdown. It was a fake slant up on the inside route, and it was a touchdown, and that gave them the go-ahead, and that put Central on the ropes.
Rolly, I'm going to tell you, the first time they ran that play, the receiver kind of like stumbled a little bit coming out of his break, because if not, they wouldn't have had to run it a second time. And then when they ran it the second time, they ran it to perfection.
Touchdown.
Absolutely. So moving right along, Rolly, another big barn burner down south. The Buccaneers from South Dade just keep on rolling. They're 2-0, and they face this week what I got to tell you is a team going through the gauntlet this year in the Carroll City Chiefs, Rolly.
Well, you know what? We were very impressed with Carroll City when Carroll City was coming in. We were like, they didn't have the freak, but it didn't matter. They had all the other tools, and they were working very good. And we said, South Dade needs to step up because I think South Dade left a lot of plays on the football field against Columbus, and they did.
And Rolly, judging by the score, they probably left a lot of plays on the field against Carroll City too, because they're winning by the hair on the chinny chin chins.
That's absolutely correct. The score was 16-12. South Dade, and the Columbus score was also close. But you know what? The only thing that counts at the end of the day is that W.
Absolutely. Moving right along. This one is a rivalry in high school sports. 2 Catholic schools, 2 private schools that live in the same neighborhoods, Rolly. Columbus Belen. This is the 10th time they play. And Rolly, this thing still stays one-sided.
You know what? It's always going to be one-sided until Coach Stewart can get over that hump and have the right key players in the right key positions to be able to beat a Columbus team. And again, I think Columbus, they're getting that running game going. Rasul broke a nice 80-yard or 60-yard run, but it was called back. So little by little, that running game is starting to shape up because Tucker Burns looks pretty damn good.
Yeah, talk to me about Sasha Kelsey. I'm going to talk to you about Sasha Kelsey right now because last year I was very critical on this player, Rolly, as you very well know. He had the drops. He would drop balls at critical times. But I'm going to tell you something right now. Bobo Wilson's at Florida State. And Sasha Kelly has picked up right where Bobo left off because this kid is on fire this year, Rolly.
Oh man, he had 2 touchdowns in a matter of 10 minutes in this game,
Yeah.
and he was just they couldn't cover him. And he's returning punts, kickoffs. I mean, Sasha Kelsey right now is playing a big role for Columbus Explorers.
Let's talk about the Columbus defense right now. This team got better from what we saw week one. Week one, they showed a very strong defense. That defense is anchored at the middle of that line by a kid named Otto Travieso, who had a major injury last year. And Otto's back this year, and Rolly, he is playing at top form.
Carlos, he's being double teamed. He looks like a rhinoceros out there, but he's being double teamed, and he's still making plays.
You know, Rolly, last year, right before the Cypress Bay game, I had a conversation with Coach Trujillo, and he told me that he was his biggest fear that they might get exposed that night because they had been able to mask Otto's absence since he got hurt. And obviously they did get exposed at the line last year, but Otto's back and he's doing great things. Another kid that completed his comeback Saturday night was Andres Fernandez. Rolly, 20-yard scamper for a touchdown. This kid's the long snapper. He's the holder. He's the backup quarterback. Coach Mara's got to invent a new position for this kid because he's got to get him on the field.
Oh man, he's a playmaker. He's your Tebow,
Yeah.
And also we got to give some shout out to Mr. Ash Armstrong had a nice little 27-yard scamper down the sideline, and good for him because he's been running hard. It's been tough in the trenches with that offensive line.
And another kid on that team that this kid he gets no pub because he is what he is. He's an offensive lineman in the backfield, but he plays to the end of the whistle. Reminds me a lot of Richie Incognito, one of your boys, one of my boys, Raul Amarante. Raul Amarante is just laying in the wood, clearing the path for these guys, Rolling.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, Carlos, let's move right along because we have also University playing against Norland. And University showed up with all their weapons at full force and put a butt whooping on Norland.
When was the last time you saw a Norland team start the season 0-2?
Oh man, I know Brooks, I know all the guys over there, my boys in Norland, and I know you guys are struggling right now, but they'll come back. They always do.
They are in a super tough division. They got Homestead in that division that's playing well. They got Central in that division. They got the team running the gauntlet right now, and the Carroll City Chiefs in that division. It's unbelievable, Rolly. And let's not forget the Jackson Generals. They're in that division.
I was just about to say, the guys with the Green Bay Packer logo on the side of their helmet.
Absolutely. But listen, Rolly, I want to talk about another team that 3 years ago they got a brand new head coach. 4 years ago they got a brand new head coach. His name is Coach Neal. He's over at Southwest Senior High School. First year he took his lumps. Second year he went undefeated. Last year he had one loss. This year he's off to another 2-0 start. It was a close one against Hialeah, but they came from behind and they put the pedal to the metal in the third quarter, Rolly, and just ran away with it. You want to run with that a little bit?
Well, you know what? I tell you what, they have a great defense.
Yes.
Okay, and then you have freshmen, corners that are just locking them down. And let's just go over it. Coach's offense, he's used to scoring a lot of points. And started off a little slow, and then they just poured it on, and they came back and demolished Hialeah.
They brought one of their wide receivers in and put him at running back, and he ran for 168 yards. They did the same thing against Coral Park the week before. This kid is just a playmaker. They got athletes on offense. They got athletes on defense.
And they got Mr. George Spillman sitting at middle linebacker, banging people up. It's one of my boys. Good job.
Belen Wolverines came into this district thinking it was going to be a cakewalk. It might be, but you're going to run into some purple people eaters down the road. So, moving right along, Rolly. What else you got there?
I got some charter schools. Our boy from down south, Keysgate. Keysgate went up against, Matter Academy.
Yes, and it was a barn burner, man. It really was. We're going to talk about Matter a little bit later, but you want to run it with Keysgate?
Well, Coach Rogers is got that spread, offense, a little bit of the pistol, a little bit of the whip, a little bit of the veer, and Coach Rogers says, you know what? When he gets that going, and he's got a 2-quarterback system out there, they're gonna be pretty damn good by the end of the season.
I think they're pretty damn good right now. I think they're 2-0 right now, Rolling. They got that thing rolling. There's a lot of great football being played. Like I said, on the turnpike, get off on Campbell Drive, and whichever way you run, you're going to run into a school. They're playing some good football at that school, Rolly.
They sure are. Now here's one that's a shocker. To some people, at least to me, it's a shocker. Champagne Yang, played against Westminster Christian and just put it on them. Pam, pam, banged them up.
It was what you would call a good old-fashioned butt spanking.
You know what? Westminster Christian didn't have any time to really throw the ball or get anything going, even on their screens, they were just getting eaten up.
Well, Westminster Christian, they do have Timothy Irving over there, but they've had for the last 6 years, they've had the good fortune of having two great quarterbacks run through that program. Mr. Johnson is over at the University of Miami. He was one of them, Athlete of the Year 2 years in a row, baseball football combo. And Rolly, right now, I think they're struggling a little bit to find their identity, but I think Coach will bring it along.
All right, well, we'll have to wait and see, Carlos.
Right. And jumping into this week 3, Rolly,
Woo!
big preview of a lot of big games. There's a real big one down in the Bayou, but we're going to talk about that one in a little bit. We're going to start off with the Jackson Generals against the Norland. Rolly?
You know what? If the way Norland right now, this is a must-win game for them.
Must win.
They are in the trenches where they have to win this game, and Jackson is just right now rolling. They're on all cylinders. They're very quick. They're very fast, and they're on the right track right now.
This one's a district game too, Rolly. So this one is a must-win for the Norland Vikings, and Rolly 0-3 would be a disastrous start for them.
Absolutely.
University School going up against our boys over at Cypress Bay. Sean White from University School, oh my Lord, back in the day at the PPO, over at Chaminade, now he's doing this thing with Roger Harriet over at University School. Rolly, University School just keeps rolling and rolling.
University, what a great pickup, a couple years ago when he transferred Chaminade, and then he goes there. Carlos, Sean White, I'm going to be honest with you, back when, we had the dynamic team, we were dying to play PPO because they were running their mouth. I'm not going to lie to you. But guess what? They got beat by Cooper City, and we didn't get that chance. But we destroyed Cooper City. But Sean White was a beautiful quarterback in the youth level, in the high school level. You guys, you've seen him. He's all over the place, and he looks fantastic.
And they're going into Cypress Bay, Rolly, and Coach Guandolo.
He's coming back because he was out.
He was out for a couple games, for something that coaches do every day.
Every day. That's just absolutely bogus.
Just going to leave that one in the rearview mirror, Rolly.
Yeah.
Moving right along, the team in the gauntlet faces the big monster this week. Booker T. Washington going up against the Carroll City Chiefs, Rolly.
You know what? Booker T is going up against Carroll City, and I'm gonna tell you right now, Carroll City's in for a rude awakening. I know Carroll City. I'm not gonna take anything away from Carroll City because they're very good and they're on the rise.
Yes.
But you know what? They had a disappointing loss down south to South Dade, and now they got to play Booker T. They're gonna see a whole different level of speed that they haven't seen. And when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about because South Dade has a lot of speed, but I'm talking about in the trenches, in that defensive line. Carroll City's never seen that type of speed.
Yeah, but listen, Carroll City is setting themselves up for a nice. If the Carroll City Chiefs happen to get into the playoffs, Rolly, you better watch out because Carroll City Chiefs have played everybody and anybody this year.
Oh, they have the most difficult schedule.
They are setting themselves up if they can get into that playoffs with all the experience behind them. Nothing's going to face them if they're able to get into the playoffs.
Listen, Carroll City had some key losses last year, and let's just keep it honest. Last year, the Freak kept them in a lot of games, and he's no longer there. So now, to be able to play the way they've been playing, they're very fundamentally sound all the way around.
Yes. And another big one, and this one, Columbus Senior High School going against American Heritage, Rolly. We got a lot of kids in this game. We're going to start out with Isaiah McKenzie.
Well, I want to wish Isaiah McKenzie right off the bat, get well soon. I love you to death. I know Isaiah had a little mild concussion, was taken away in a stretcher on Saturday, but you know what? I spoke to him today, and he says he's playing.
Well, he must be cleared. It must have not been a concussion because if you get a concussion in high school football, you're on automatic 4 weeks.
That's why I said it was a mild. It wasn't a concussion.
Maybe a dinger.
Right.
Call it a dinger.
We call it a dinger.
But Rolly, this one's going to be tough for Columbus to pull out. Even though I'm going to tell you they improved a lot from the South Day game to the Belen game. We're going to find out what these teams are all about this week.
I think it's going to be a very difficult game for Columbus because, again, Columbus, they were able to bottle up South Dade, and I think a lot has to do. Remember, South Dade left a lot of points on the field. We were there.
They're getting ready to kick off in like about 5 minutes, Rolly. This game's Thursday night, tonight, 8 o'clock. Rolly, what a great game that's going to be.
We got to rush and get out there, but I'm going to tell you right now, Isaiah McKenzie, Sonny Michel, you know, it's going to be tough to maintain. Brandon Bison's, boy, I'm telling you right now, he's just been impressing everybody across the board. What a great kid.
He's just a football player.
Oh, man.
Listen, there's a lot of teams with byes this week. Deerfield Beach, Homestead, Northwestern, Coral Gables, and Southwest taking the week off.
But what about one team that we just finished covering on Friday? The Central Rockets are playing Coral Reef.
The Central Rockets are playing Coral Reef, and I'm going to tell you something right now. The Central Rockets are going to roll through Coral Reef.
I think they're so angry. What a bad time for Coral Reef to play against them.
Yeah. But, Rolly, I'm going to talk. We're going to talk now about the big one this week. The one down in Louisiana in the Bayou, Rolly in the Superdome. St. Thomas Aquinas takes on John Curtis. John Curtis is ranked number 3 nationally. St. Thomas Aquinas is ranked number 4. Rolly, this one's going to be a barn burner.
Oh, it sure is. You know, Curtis has done so many. They've done everything. They are the talk of, you know,
they're the defending
in the South.
champions.
Oh, absolutely. They're the talk. Year in, year out, everybody in that neighborhood, people travel just to play for that school.
Well, I'm going to tell you something about that school right now. That school, the head coach is John Curtis III. It was founded by John Curtis's grandfather. Almost everybody that works at that school is related to the Curtis family. But Rolly, in the last 45 years, they've won 22 state championships, Rolly. Basically, they're winning the state championship every other year. They got the Raiders rolling into town this week. Aquinas has not lost on the road yet, Rolly.
And Aquinas looks better than ever. And I would like to sit here and say, hey, how many high school teams were actually out there for John Curtis? But, you know, there's a lot of great teams out there. They're not doing it because it's a cakewalk.
But
then,
we hear a lot of great teams out of the state of Florida when they go up against the state of Florida. And, you know, they start seeing that speed, Rolly. You know what I mean? It's, you know, but I'm going to tell you, St. Thomas's defense is led by seniors Anthony Moulton, a big defensive tackle they got, Rolly. Al Harris Jr., he ain't got the dreads coming out the back, but he's Al Harris Jr. and Rolly, sophomore Mr. Nick Boza. These 3 players are going to have to be at the top of their game because John Curtis runs an offense that has been around since day one. It's called the Veer. And for you out there who don't know what the Veer is, go back to your video collection, turn on the TV, watch, remember the Titans. That's the Veer, Rolly.
Well, I'll tell you what, you better follow the ball. Yeah. It's a lot of misdirection, and you know, and I don't want to sit here and say it's an optical illusion, but if the minute you get caught looking the wrong way, it becomes an optical illusion, and you're chasing the wrong player.
Absolutely, they run the ball 80 to 90% of the time. They will throw it 2 or 3 times, Rolly. But I'm going to tell you right now, the winner of this game is setting themselves up probably for a national championship. If Booker T happens to stumble along the road. We know Booker T's got that big matchup looming down the road against University School. So Booker T happens to stumble. The winner of this game might be getting crowned at the end of the year, Rolly.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think that University is going to be able to muffle the Veer, and I think that University will come out. St. Thomas will come out victorious in this huge matchup, which will set up something big down the line. It's just going to make high school football more exciting.
Hey, high school football gets so exciting every year, Rolly. You know, Kirk Herbstreit had a lot to do with this thing to get this thing rolling and teams playing nationally. And it just flows right into the college level, Rolly. The stars in high school, the stars in college. And you know, right now, you know, towards the end of the show today, I want to talk about 2 programs that are on the rise. These are 2 programs. One program that back in the day was nationally known. It was a vaunted program. A lot of players from that program are playing in the NFL. I'm talking about the Miami High Stingarees. They got a new head coach, Ivan Rosales, Rolly. You know him very well. You want to tell everybody about Ivan a little bit?
Well, you know what? Ivan Rosales is, you know, a cancer survivor. He's a superstar father, incredible husband, and an amazing coach. And I'm going to tell you right now, things couldn't be better to see Ivan Rosales succeeding and doing the different things that he's doing. He's running he's running a bunch of different things over there at Miami High, and he's got those kids in that program working hard, and they're off to a very good start.
He also happens to be a Miami High Stingaree alumni, Rolly. You know, he coached a couple years with Coach Ice over at Booker T. Washington when he was teaching over at Booker T. Washington. He coached at Ronald Reagan.
Well, Ivan played
Corral.
Ivan played linebacker for Miami High, and I want to give a shout out to Edwin Fonseca,
Yes.
who's actually coaching with them. Was a transfer as well, and Edwin's been doing very well over there
Listen,
with the
a couple
Stingarees.
of key players they got over there, Rolly. They got a freshman quarterback, Murphy Theodore. He's got 272 yards passing this year, 4 TDs. Rolly, he's 4th or 5th in the league in the county in passing. This kid's a freshman. I spoke to Ivan today. He tells me his team is very heavy sophomore laden. They got a sophomore named Keyshawn Pye Young. He's got 9 catches for 169 yards. He ranks 5th in Dade County in reception, Rolly. These two players are a big reason of why they've started off 2-0, Rolly.
Oh, absolutely. Again, they've been training very hard on the offseason.
Yes.
They've been fundraising, playing hard, and you know what? Hard work pays off.
Not only that, but Ivan's a no-nonsense guy. I remember about 6 or 7 months ago when Ivan first got the job, we ran into Ivan somewhere, and you told me, Rolly, Carlos, talk to Ivan and where you think. And I told him, if he's not in the playoffs in that weak district he plays, you better hang it up. And he looked at me, he said, come on, Carlos. He's 2-0. He's going in the right direction, Ivan. We're very proud of you. Keep up the good work. Keep those kids working hard because I know you're going to nothing but success for that program.
Ivan loses his voice by the third quarter. Yes. He's making hand signals because he can't scream anymore.
Another program that's on the rise is a program that you know very well, Rolly. One of our dear friends, Gil, started that program. He's now the vice principal of the school. I think he finally went out and hired the right coach for this program, and Javi Valdez. Javi Valdez was the OC at Archbishop Carroll. He was the OC at Homestead. He was the OC at South Ridge. He's coached a lot of different offenses. He's got 2 kids in the NFL right now, Rodney Smith and George Baker. Rolly, Javi's got them rolling. They're 1-1 right now. They lost a barn burner to Keys Gate last week. They got a couple key players over there, Rolly. Juan Valdez. Jamal Ajamal, running back. He's a transfer out of South Ridge. Joseph Baracas. He's a running back from the Doral Bronco program, just in case you guys didn't know. Dwayne Pattyfoot, he's an outside linebacker. Miguel Lewis, a strong safety. And Jonathan Urbina at linebacker. Those are the guys, along with all the other players who are working hard, that are making it happen over at Mataroli. And I'm so happy for both of these guys because, they finally getting their opportunities and well, they're making it happen.
Hey, Matter Academy is a very small school, sister school to Doral Academy. And you know what? As like you said, Javi is going to get the kids and he's going to put them ready to run the system that he runs.
And mind you, he got hired late in the season. He didn't have the luxury of being there for a couple of months. He got hired and boom, the season was on him and he had to go out and he did his thing. And they're on, I'm really, really happy for Javi because I think Javi should have gotten the Archbishop Carroll job a couple of years ago. He didn't get it. He was passed over. And funny thing, him and Ivan both were finalists for the Miami High job, and Ivan got the job, and now Ivan's over at Matter Academy, so things worked out for both of them, Rolly.
Yeah, and I want to mention something. In the last, I don't know, it's been about 10 years now, starting with Alex Chica, who was one of my offensive linemen, who couldn't play any other position but offensive lineman because he was a stud and he played linebacker, became a fullback in high school and was dominant.
Oh, he became a fullback his last year at Doral.
And then you have Raul Almarante, who's at Columbus now as a fullback, was another amazing guard, great technique, and again, situation where that's what the position that he played, and now all of a sudden now he comes out and he's where he's at.
George Lorenzo, another defensive lineman all his career, gets to high school, starts playing fullback, starting fullback at FIU right now.
He's at FIU, and then now we have Joseph Barocas, the best offensive lineman in the history. But probably the Doral Broncos, because he's a coach on the football field.
Well, he played center for you, right?
No, he played guard. But this is the thing with Joseph. Joseph was a teacher on the field. Right. Joseph Brocas would tell all the kids. He made all the hang signals when we were zone blocking, we were cut blocking. He was telling the kids all the different plays and formations. He would call the signals on the line when Coach Hector was sent up from the sidelines. And let me tell you something. He was at Doral Academy. Then he went to Matter Academy, played tight end. And now this year, they got him playing for running back.
Rolly, I'm just so all you young kids that are sitting out there right now, sometimes, unfortunately, at the youth leagues, the bigger kids get stuck on the line because they're the bigger kids. You know what I mean? But we've just named 6 or 7 kids that they did their time on the line.
Their due diligence.
Being another one, and he's at South Dakota right now. He's at a JUCO in South Dakota playing tight end. and they got to the high school level, and they switched from the line to fullback to wide receiver to tight end, and they're doing their thing right now. So if you're playing offensive line or defensive line in the youth leagues right now, wait your turn. Don't get discouraged. You're playing football, which is the most important thing, Roland.
And offensive line in the youth level is the most important position. Not quarterback or running back, offensive line.
Absolutely. You know the glory hounds get all the glory, but you will get your shot at the next level, Rolly. Rolly, that wraps up week 2 of high school football. We're going into week 3, Rolly, and I'm going to tell you right now, the season has started off with a bang, and it's going to end with a bang. And, I thought last year's season was really, really good, but, Rolly?
Well, you know what, ladies and gentlemen, I want to let you know one thing. And just not to change the subject or anything like that, but how about the Miami Heat?
The Miami Heat just went out and brought back one of their own, okay? They brought back one of their own, the guy they drafted in the second pick of the draft, Rolly. They brought him back, and, of course, you know who we're talking about.
Maestro Michael Beasley.
Michael Beasley. And Rolly, they're just they're setting themselves up for another run, Rolly. Michael Beasley's a beast on the boards. He's a beast from the three-point. He's a scoring machine.
He's a scoring machine. And then we have Greg Oden. I mean, Don't you think that they're setting this up to say, LeBron, where are you going?
Not only that, but to be honest with you, I don't think LeBron's going to opt out next year. I think he's going to stay in, because what that does is it gives the Miami Heat, I think all 3 of them are going to stay in. I don't think any of them are going to opt out, because it gives the Miami Heat the option of breaking this thing up, because there's another huge free agent core coming out in 2016, Rolly, and that's the year they become free agents, and I'm sure that they're going to go after another and just keep this thing rolling.
Well,
like LeBron said, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6,
We'll see. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to see our highlights, for the Booker T and Central game, you got to log on to YouTube. And go to All Sports Video, and you'll be able to see the highlights. Well, or you put theplatform.tv, right. All Sports Video, you'll be able to see all the highlights.
We're gonna be putting that up on our website, so when you go to our website, you'll be able to go and see what where we're at right now.
And what's our Twitter account, so we can give it to all the viewers?
Our Twitter account?
Yeah, because I've been getting emails from some coaches. I'm going to tell you right now. I've been getting emails from some coaches from up north in the college level asking me for high school scores. And you know what? Follow us on Twitter where at the Platform Live. Follow us on Twitter. We putting up all the scores week in, week out.
So for Rolly, Miguel, myself, Fred back in the booth, because I know he's back there.
And we're going to give a special shout out to Artistic Stone, International Plumbing, Shago Electric, and Supreme Painting.
They're all very loyal sponsors of ours, and they're helping us pay the bills, Rolly.
Absolutely.
Okay, so like I said, for Miguel, Rolly, myself, and Fred, this one's a wrap. See you next week.